Statistics. That's the Nothing Personal Word of the Day for Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. Today's episode is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Statistics, something I have been thinking about as a math person pretty much my whole life. Recently, the notion of statistics have taken on a brand new meaning. Probabilities, thoughts, chances, a way to predict what's going to happen going forward. Why else would you use statistics? In sports, we try to say to ourselves, well, Aaron Judge hits 330. That means odds are there's a 33% chance he's going to get a hit because 33 times out of 100 he'll get a hit. That's 330. We sit at the roulette wheel and say, hey, it's 50-50, forget the 0 and the 0-0, so it's not quite 50-50, but close enough that that sort of counts. Flipping of a coin, what are the stats of that? Well, if we get a head, that's 50%. Now a tail, 50%. We do this with baseball constantly. The odds of everything happening. There's a playoff series going on now. It's the wild card round, 3 games, 1 ballpark. You've been watching. We gave you the statistic, and we'll give it to you again. Before this year, there had been 12 of these 3-game series played at 1 ballpark, no travel. 12 times the winner of game 1 wins the series. Only twice did one of those series go to 3 games. But the game 1 winner won that game 3 and advanced. Statistically, you would say, we're good to go. You win game 1, you are done. The Dodgers won game 1, we'll get to it. Now we get to say there have been 13 game 2s and 11 have ended after 2 games. But today, we have 3 elimination games in baseball. 3 of the games that I spent months arguing with people inside baseball that this is what fans want. They want elimination games, winner take all games. You win, you move on, you lose, you go home. It's the same thing. It's the same concept as a game 7 in a 7-game series, a game 5 in a 5-game series. And I guess what the proponents of this 3-game series say, hey, Dave, it's game 3 of a 3-game series. That's true. We are in an elimination game. We're also in a position where in 15 hours, 16 hours, whatever the time is, whenever you're watching this on DraftKings Network, or if you're live on the Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. We fell behind by taking 2 weeks off, so please hit subscribe, tell your friends and your Romans and your country people. But the statistics would say that we know who's going to win all 3 games. Before we get to talking about tonight's games, I want to tell you how we got to tonight because I'm pretty worked up about the Red Sox-Yankees game. And during the broadcast yesterday, Coca, there was a mention by the great broadcasters covering the game of how similar it could be if the Red Sox got a runner on in the 9th inning, that there could be a Dave Roberts situation. For those of you who are young, like 50% of you, you don't realize that 21 years ago, well, although there's been so many documentaries about it, maybe you do, but 21 years ago, the Yankees were up 3-0 over the Red Sox, and the Red Sox came back to win the series 4-3. You may say big whoop, and I say, well, it is a very big whoop because the Red Sox went on to win the World Series, but it's a bigger whoop because nobody's ever come back from down 0-3 to win a series in baseball other than the 0-4 Red Sox. That's a big whoop. Having it happen against the Yankees, big. The Yankees were winning game 4 on their way to a sweep in 2004, and Dave Roberts, yes, the same manager of the Dodgers, that Dave Roberts, was a player on the Red Sox all those 1 score ago, and he stole a base and started a rally, and they won another game and another game and another game, and yada, 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 yada. That was the American League Championship Series. I am one for building up the moment. I love it. I want to create moments. I want to create memories, and I want to hold those memories dear to me. But a 3-game wild card series is not the league championship series. Sorry, it's just not. That said, last night the Red Sox had a chance to come back and beat the Yankees and sweep the series and move on to play the Blue Jays in the divisional series. But the Yankees bullpen was able to lock it down. A couple of things of note happened during that Yankee Red Sox game, so you can go on with your day thinking, oh, I can fool people into saying I watched it. 2 players didn't play in game 1 and got a lot of attention. We talked to you about Jazz Chisholm. We talked to you about Ben Rice, 2 lefties who were not in the game 1 lineup that are put back in the game 2 lineup, and they each had a difference-making play in the game. Ben Rice hit a 2-run homer, outstanding. And then Jazz Chisholm made a fantastic defensive play to save a run, which run shouldn't have been saved. We're going to talk about it. And then Jazz scored from first on an Austin Wells. Basically, it was a duck. That's what happens in baseball. You find the right place for a ball to land, 2 outs, runner moving, and Jazz is fast. He scores what turned out to be the winning run. I have wanted to fire third base coaches so many times. Anytime a runner gets thrown out at home, I'm angry. Anytime a runner doesn't score because they're not sent by the third base coach, I'm angry. Anytime a player is rounding second and not looking up to their third base coach, their head is down, watching their feet run, I'm angry. You are taught to run with your head up. You don't need to look at your shoelaces. You need to be looking at your coach. You need to be looking to find the ball. There's a lot going on when you're running the bases. None of it includes making sure you're not stepping on an oil slick. Trust me, I would say to the players, we've got a great grounds crew. You don't need to worry about divots, sprained ankles. You may sprain your ankle on a bag if you hit it wrong, but you're not going to step into a sprinkler hole. I promise. It's not slippery anywhere. At 57 years old, I'll tell you now, I look at my feet when I walk. I want to make sure I'm not stepping in any dog crap in New York. It's too bad that you can't walk in New York City looking up. There's so many beautiful things to look at. But no, I'm looking at my shoes. One step in front of me, making sure that those people with dogs who don't curb them don't ruin my shoes and force me to throw them away and live with some stench that somehow God is giving me. The only smell I have is crap. Seems to figure. I would have figured maybe that's how my luck is going. Maybe that was a sign. But the Red Sox did not score on the play. The third base coach thought on Jazz Chisholm diving to keep a ball in the infield and stupidly throwing the ball to first base, bouncing it to Ben Rice, who can't make the pick, who stupidly tried to pick the ball and instead couldn't pick it. The ball gets by him, but not that far. And the runner on third in a tie game doesn't score. Should have scored. Didn't score. The reason I've tried and thought about firing coaches and have done it is that we all Red Sox fans are playing this game, and all fans of every sport play the game. It's the game of blame. It's a terrible game. Trust me, I've been thinking about the game of blame a lot recently. I'm not sure it does any good, but it is impossible to avoid. I have tried over the last almost 3 weeks to avoid playing the blame game. Can't do it. Can't do it. So did third base coach of Boston. He's not going to get fired, especially during the series. And even better, Alex Cora is going to mention post-game, hey, Nate Eaton, that was the runner. Nate Eaton could not have scored. Alex Cora said, like, specifically. That's their opinion, you know. I think it's easy to say that he could have scored. You know, they're not down there with us. Well, I got to tell you, that is... Have you ever been in a situation where you know you're wrong, and the way you try to convince the person you're talking to that you're right is by somehow talking about the difference? I've done this, like with Jeff Passan or with Scott Boras during conversations. Not that I've ever had a conversation with Jeff Passan, which I've never met the guy, but where you're talking about it, and to a third party, you say, hey, that person's never run a team, I have. So I do it. We all do it. We give ourselves credibility for being in a position to have a different set of knowledge than the person who's giving the other opinion that we don't agree with. If you go about your day today and think about it in those terms, count the number of times that you give an opinion about something and you believe you're right because it's your perspective that the other person doesn't have, thereby making your opinion more likely to be right. It is as human can be. As I think about the problem with that logic, I realize that we all traffic in this confirmation bias in order to convince ourselves that our thought process, that our reasoning capabilities are superior to others, because otherwise you would spend your life saying, oh, you're right, let's do it that way. And that's a total ego crusher when all you do is you subjugate yourself to what you perceive to be the whims of everybody, when in fact, maybe they're right. But in this case, Alex Cora was wrong. With 2 outs, tie game, chance to win, I'd rather make the defense make a play. Make Ben Rice get the ball, collect the ball, and throw to the plate to get eaten out trying to score from second. Because if he scores, you're up 4-3, and you don't worry about a run scoring the following half inning, so you're down 4-3. That would just be my view. So tonight, we end up with an amazing Game 3 because it's an elimination game. This is the Red Sox and the Yankees. Get ready. This is going to be the matchup of the ages. You have got 2 multi-year, $500 million pitchers going against each other. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Hold on. It's Early and Schlittler. Wait a minute. Game 3 of the first round of the playoffs in an elimination game is 2 rookies. Now, I agree that Early has been good in like the 15 minutes he's been pitching. And yes, Schlittler has been certainly the number 3, 4, or 5 starter on the Yankees. I do have that right. The Red Sox and Yankees are starting 2 rookies in a deciding Game 3. And it's not like a deciding Game 7 where your pitching could be backwards and you have to start the guys who started Game 4. And Game 4 starters are generally your 4th starter. It's not like we're deep in October. You've got some issues where you've got bullpen openers starting. Come on. We can't get a rotation 3 deep? Oh, true. Giolito's hurt. I get it. Injuries happen, but come now. I don't think that makes it a worse game because Early's been great, but it's early. And Schlittler's been fine, but it's also early. Does it mean we're not going to watch it? Of course we're going to watch it. Who's got the advantage? Who would you rather be? Judge is having a good 2 games, not hitting for power. Stanton is overdue like a library book to get some power. The fact is that the Red Sox have had opportunity after opportunity against what had been a beleaguered bullpen, but Bednar did not have to work so hard yesterday that he is available, as opposed to Garrett Whitlock, who gave up the winning run, pitched like 40-plus pitches, and he is very unlikely to be available, but you could have Aroldis Chapman go more than 1 inning. Because yesterday, Alex Cora, going for the series win smartly emptied the bullpen, made it more of a bullpen game when Bayo, the starter, didn't even make it out of the 3rd. But now you have another game right now. A bunch of those guys, Matz, Kelly, etc., they'll go back-to-back. But Whitlock, this will be a good test case, Coca. If Whitlock pitches tonight, boy, that would be something. Back-to-back after 40-plus yesterday. The day started with the Guardians and Tigers yesterday. We had our Guardians, spoiler alert, as pick of the day. I'm watching the Guardians play, and I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for something. I'm waiting for 8,000 people to show up in their seats. I'm just waiting. Yes, Detroit was up 1-0. Yes, statistics tell you there is no way the Guardians win the series. Yes, nothing personal predicted the Guardians would win the series. So to win the second game, you got to win the first game. So of course it's going to be my pick of the day because why would I change my mind based on a game one loss where Scooble's pitching, for crying out loud? Waiting. Just waiting. The same 26,000 people showed up to game two. Yes, it was still 1 o'clock Eastern time, 1:08 to be specific. But give me a break. It's a terrible look for Cleveland. And I said it yesterday, I'll say it again, but this is the moment. There is a game three deciding game at 3 o'clock today. If the Cleveland Guardians do not sell out this game, I will do tomorrow's show with Coca. What am I going to do, Coco? Wear a costume? We're not the Levitard show. Am I going to do it naked? No, we're not Channel J. What would I do? I wouldn't eat my handkerchief. That's disgusting. I don't like any of those. I would eat my shorts. I got to think of something I would do because this wait to see, unlike all my other wait to sees, which you can find on davidsamsonpodcast.com, got a bunch of good ones, and we always revisit them. This wait to see is a guarantee. And we'll find out today at 3:08, or really they announced the attendance in the sixth inning. Side note, Coca, have I ever told you how postseason attendance goes? We can't make up the attendance in the postseason because the attendance is done with Major League Baseball officials who are in your ticket office doing the attendance with you, looking over your shoulders, looking at the exact ticket revenue because ticket revenue gets shared by various constituencies. So my whole regular season shtick of making up numbers couldn't do it. You're not allowed to buy dollar tickets in order to make it look different because it changes all of the ATP, average ticket price, and all the other things that go on. So the attendance in the postseason in Major League Baseball, that's real. That's the attendance. So we'll know whether the Guardians sell out the game, and you can bet they are selling out. So my official wait to see on Guardians-Tigers game 3 is that there'll be a sellout today. Book it, Coca. So Bibby pitched great. He is the guy. That streak continued. Did I get that right, Coca? I know that Bibby was in the first inning, there was a problem, but he didn't end up giving up runs. It was first and second right off the top, and then he struck out. I think he struck out the side, but it seems like 4 games ago, so I can't remember. I think the streak is alive with the Guardians starters have not given up 2 runs or more than 2 runs, and now it would be 21 games because it was 19 when the playoffs started. These starters are unreal. Now, of course, Detroit was only 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. I get it. May not happen again. It is true Bo Naylor may not go yard with a 3-run Johnson late in the game. That's true. However, we have got a pitching matchup for this game 3 this afternoon to die for. The Tigers are so deep that they get to go with Jack Flaherty. Yes, that Jack Flaherty. Yeah, you know him. He used to be lights out. I mean lights out for the Cards. A number 1 starter. Now he's about a number 4.5 starter. 5 starter. He signed a 2-year, $35 million deal with the Tigers after the Tigers had acquired him. And then he re-signed. This is his first year with that new deal. That's a pretty good starter to have as a game 3 starter if he were Jack Flaherty. But now he's Jack Flaherty. And of course, the Guardians are coming out with a pre-arb pitcher because they've got such a young, great staff. And Ciccone is pitching. If you've never watched him pitch, it's worth watching. This is the depth of the Guardians rotation that you've never heard of. The type of depth that would make me say, I'm good with everyone being pre-arb. I'm good with everyone being rookies. If you're the Guardians. Remember how we started this show. Red Sox, Yankees, not good with rookies as your number 3 starter. No matter how good they are. Guardians, that's part of the cost of doing business. It's part of the cost of being the Guardians. We won a ring with young pre-arbitration eligible players, so it can be done. But man, if it can be avoided because more often than not, it doesn't work. So we'll see what happens with the Guardians. But that's another game 3 at 3 o'clock. 3 game 3s today. 5 o'clock, people are going to file into the south side. Stop that, David. 4869, sorry. At 5 o'clock, people are going to file into the north side Eastern time to watch the Cubs Padres try to figure out who's going to advance. The Padres were able to force this decisive game because they just had dominant pitching, and I mean dominant. If you have never watched Mason Miller pitch part of the Padres bullpen, please find a way. He's available today. Suarez, available today. Mason Miller threw 104 miles an hour. I'm not kidding you. He threw the fastest postseason pitch since 2008, since they started with this StatCast stuff. 104 and a half. Now, you do that enough times with no movement, Major League Baseball hitters will catch up to it. But in a series like this, you don't see a lot of it. You don't see a lot of him. You don't get a lot of at-bats against him. It's hard to hit. I don't exactly know. I didn't hear, Coca. Did you hear anything from Craig Counsell after they lost game 2? Why they had Imanaga as a not starter, but they put an opener in instead? Was there a reason because of strategy, because of pitch count, because of pain? The analytics people in baseball have like some sort of attraction to the concept of openers. It's their reaction to my funny thought during my career. How come my guys keep giving up runs in the first inning? Well, let's not let him pitch the first inning. It really is. It's so ridiculous what we do as executives in baseball. We're just funny. We're trying to do things. We're trying to look smart to you all. We're trying to make you think that, like what we talked about starting the show, that we just know more and that we're thinking. We're always thinking. We're always tinkering. We will work tirelessly to bring you a team you can be proud of. It's funny. So the Cubs, did they outsmart themselves? I don't know, but they certainly didn't score, and the Padres were able to shut them out, thereby forcing this game 3. Who do you think is pitching game 3 if you're going to the game in Wrigley or watching the game, which you have to, because, well, you're not going to watch the beginning of the game because MLB and the broadcasters have the games at 3, 5, and 8, which means if you don't want to watch the Guardians, why would you not? Guardians-Tigers is so compelling. But then the end of Guardians-Tigers, you'll miss the beginning of Cubs-Padres. The good news is that the Yankees-Red Sox will be well, I guess that's not true. It starts 3 hours after the second game. Let's talk about right now who's starting for your Cubs and Padres. Pretty good feeling, isn't it? 2 long-term guys. Yu Darvish against Taillon. Remember Taillon? You just signed him to a 4-year deal. $68 million. He's in his 3rd year. You know him, Cub fans. It's good. He's a solid 3-4 starter. Darvish, you gave him that 6-year, $108 million deal. He's in his 3rd year. Solid 3-4 starter. Darvish wasn't always that way. He was closer to a 1-2, but that's what he is now. Solid as a rock. When you are building your rotation during the offseason, then during the season, when you're coming up with your depth pieces, what you're really hoping for are the guys who you want pitching all year are available at the end. The way this has turned out, the Padres and Darvish and the Cubs and Taillon, they are lined up the way they view themselves as the best case scenario. That's what I want in the playoffs. I want teams to be ready. Who's got the most pressure today? That's pretty clear to me. You think I'm going to say the Cubs, but I'm not. I'm not going to say Craig Counsell, even though losing again would be absolutely cause despondency with Cubs fans and with management. No, this is very much a Padres issue. As you know, the Padres figure out how to handle today with reckless disregard for tomorrow. And with the ownership change because of the unfortunate death of Peter Seidler, with the reality of economics, and don't believe the business bits that are being fed to you. They just fed you yesterday. San Diego Padres get 70,000 direct-to-consumer app users, record-breaking attendance year over year. All of those positive things. Here's the problem. The Padres are getting whooped in a little category called NOI, net operating income. The Padres do not make money. Don't let them fool you, and don't you in any way be fooled. Things look great. They do. But their payroll is too high, even with it dropping. And reminder, it's been dropping. But the level it's at right now is not sustainable in that market, given the TV situation. Forget subs, do the math. 70,000 subs. What do you think they're paying? Just out of curiosity, if you had to do the math on the 70,000 subs, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I'm going to say that they're paying $200, but that's really not right. But just say they are. Do you know how much that is? Just what's your guess? 70,000 subs, each paying $200 just to watch the San Diego Padres. You did the math. You know what it is. It's 14 million bucks. 14 million bucks. It's not even close. The TV revenue, and we'll talk about it later in the show if we get to it, with regional sports networks and blackouts and carriage issues. MLB would like you to think, as would PR people and teams, that this disruption of the regional sports networks and the advent of the app and MLB producing games and month by month, game by game, everything's great. The numbers are not even close to what the teams used to get. And the Padres were in a position where they were spending money they didn't have before their TV deal went to hell in a handbasket. But it makes for great announcements. It makes for great PR. They've got tremendous, tremendous pressure. My day ended last night, Coca, with Sasaki pitching in ninth inning. Sasaki, the guy, rookie, remember him? He was hurt all year. Came from Japan. I don't want to be in a big city. I'm very sensitive. Oh, wait a minute. I'm with the Dodgers. I was always going to be with the Dodgers. You know I love you, Joe. Joel is one of my favorites, agents. You know that. But come on. We all knew that Sasaki Dodgers. Fine, I don't care. It's a good deal. I'm happy for him. Then he gets hurt. Doesn't pitch much. Comes in, pitches a ninth. And the Dodgers dispensed of the Reds. And just like that, Mets fans' misery is over, because the team that got into the playoffs instead of them, the Cincinnati Reds, are gone faster than you can say. The great red machine. That's not right, Coca. I think it's the big red machine. Hello. Hello, David. I know that you're not all there. Trust me, I know. And I will give you some grace, David. But not to know the big red machine and to call it the great red machine is a darn disgrace. I'm watching the Dodgers dispose of the Reds last night. And you're thinking, when it's 2-0 Cincinnati, oh, this would be unreal to force a third game. 4 game threes. And then the Dodgers come to hit. And you look at the lineup, and every time somebody's up, and then Kike Hernandez, he just has a way in the postseason. I was thinking the number of players who are on these teams who are still playing, who I used to have, and I've been out of the game for 8 years. It really is staggering. Staggering, I say. So the Dodgers, say it again, Coca? So I'm watching Miggy Rojas, who is obviously a Marlin with me. I'm watching Kike Hernandez. Those are 2 of 26 Dodgers. Like almost 10% of the team were Marlins under me. And we haven't even gotten to Philly, the Yankees, etc. But anyway, so you've got the Dodgers moving on, and they're going to play the Phillies. What's really cool about this series coming up is the Dodgers and Phillies haven't played since 2009. Philly fans may remember this. You may remember that Ohtani was the announced starter for Game 3 if the Reds had won last night, which means Ohtani will start Game 1, I promise you, of the 5-game series against the Phillies. You may remember the fact that this sort of series, this is a dream for MLB. Do you think the Toronto Yankees or Toronto Red Sox, because that's who Toronto plays, the winner of Game 3 of Red Sox Yankees, you think that'll be a more important series to the broadcasters versus Dodgers Phillies? We're going to know with who gets the primetime game. Maybe they'll switch off. It also will depend whether San Diego has home games or not, but we'll talk about that after San Diego plays the Cubs. You got the Mariners that can't play the early game at home because they're on the West Coast. We'll talk about that. But Dodgers Phillies is big. I can't wait for tomorrow's show, Coca, when we preview Dodgers Phillies, when we look at those two teams and think who will make it to the LCS. 3-game threes. Pay attention to stats because they would tell you Tigers will win Game 3, Red Sox will win Game 3, and the Cubs will win Game 3. Will it happen? Stay tuned for Nothing Personal Pick of the Day. All right, let's go to the review. It's Thursday, Coca, please. Today is Thursday. It's our first Thursday show since, I believe, September 11th. Is that is accurate? Anyway, so go to I'm having a blank at the moment. DavidSamsonPodcast.com. That is our website. We have merch there, and we've got a tracking document there. And on the tracking document is a list of our top 100 movies. It's a list that I put together, and every Thursday we are reviewing a movie from that list. And I will have you watch it. I was supposed to watch Boyhood, and I did not. I've seen it, of course. That's why it's in my top 100. It's ranked number 53 for a reason. If you can get Richard Linklater to film a movie over 12 years with the same actors, a 12-year shoot, they only shot 45 days, but over 12 years, watching a family grow up. You watched Ethan Hawke and Academy Award-winning actress Patricia Arquette. You watched them grow up as parents. In real life, they grew 12 years older during this one movie. I was obsessed with it when I first saw it. It went right into my top 100. I love him as a filmmaker, but I just couldn't imagine how brilliant it was when you see I like the TikTok videos where it's the times warp, where if I had taken a picture of myself with every day of the beard, which I did during COVID, actually, but I haven't done now, Coca. But you can watch the beard develop and someone can smash it all together. And then you say, wow, that's cool. Or the time-lapse video of a ballpark being built over 3 years and they fast forward it, quick speed, and you watch a stadium rise up like a phoenix. That's cool. But this is a movie in regular speed with an actor named Eller Coltrane. And they started when they were 7 years old. And they filmed once a year until they were 19. It's just staggering. If you haven't watched Boyhood, it is absolutely worth your time. And I wish that I had time to watch it again. And I'm going to find the time because I want to, again, be entranced in the family and the dynamics of a family where in real life, Ethan Hawke and Patricia Arquette went through a divorce during the filming. They weren't married to each other, married to other people. They went through a divorce. In real life, they got remarried during the filming. In real life, they had more kids during the filming. All of this happened. In real life, a kid went from 7 to 19. Can you imagine? Hi, I'm in first grade. Wait a minute, I'm a freshman in college. Holy Christ, it's the same movie. Watch it, it's Boyhood. There's only 12 movies left in the top 100, and then Coca, 12 Thursdays from now, if in fact we do 12 Thursdays in a row. But we'll be done, and then we'll have to do our top 100 over again. Next week, we are going to review Coda, which is number 64. If you haven't watched it, it's on Apple TV+. Children of Deaf Adults. I believe that's what Coda stands for. Coda is a great movie. I believe it won Best Picture, and I loved it. I'm excited to watch that. I'm going to watch a movie that actually my mother suggested I watch, and I'm going to find a way to get to it. That may be my middle of the night movie today. But on Friday, tomorrow, I'm going to watch and review a movie called Bad Shabbos. And Friday is Shabbos. And I would imagine that there's a decent chance that there will be a bad Shabbos. Now, Coca, I'm grumpy. I'm grumpy for myriad reasons. Today is a fast day. Today is a holiday. Normally, I don't know whether we would ever do a show on Yom Kippur. If you see a bunch of people who are hungry today, we are fasting from sundown last night to sundown tonight. The purpose of Yom Kippur, for those of you who don't practice Judaism because you're not Jewish or because you are Jewish and you don't practice it, let me tell you what Yom Kippur is for. It is to atone for your sins. See, we are very interested in time. I am, as a Jewish man. I don't want to go to confession every day. Who's got the time to do the same thing every day? I want to go to confession once a year. And I'm going to confess to everything I did for the full year. I'm going to wipe the slate clean and start again tomorrow. It happens to be my favorite day of the Jewish calendar because I love the concept of the clean slate, because then I get a whole year of deciding how I can dirty it up, knowing that I can clean it on Yom Kippur. It's also a day that you remember family members who have passed. It's called Yortzeit. It's when you say prayers for all the people who have passed away in your life. And we all have that, whether it's a father, a sister, cousins, aunts, uncles. We all have it. So I actually don't know over the years whether we've done a show on Yom Kippur, but I do know that, of course, I was going to do a show today because we had missed the last 2 weeks. And I will watch a movie today because I have to start watching movies because I need a distraction. I need to find a way to do something that I used to enjoy, also to test it to see whether I will enjoy it. I don't know. Bad Shabbos will be reviewed tomorrow. Nothing personal pick of the day. Nothing personal pick of the day is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. We do have 3 game threes to deal with, and I've got a pick for you. The Cleveland Guardians will come back, win 2 in a row, and break the statistical streak of Game 1 winners winning these series, and the Guardians will prevail over the Tigers and advance. Why am I so sure? Watch the game. I would much rather have Ciccone than have Flaherty. I would much rather have the Guardians lineup than the Tigers lineup, who it is a battle of the anemics. You don't need the finger prick to know. Squeeze the little blood, get the machine, get your glucose count. By the way, if you have to be over 80, not years old, that's the number you're looking for when you're having your finger pricked 3 times a day, every day, as they test to see what your blood sugar is. You want to be 110, 130 would be good. Below 80, not good. Have an orange juice. We're taking the Guardians over the Tigers. Now, the second pick I have today, I don't know if that's presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. It may be, it may not be. I can't tell. But if it is, I don't know if DraftKings pays double if I do 2 picks or if they pay half because the picks are such horse crap. However, I had the Guardians last night, so I'm 125 and 122 because that was a winner. So we're going to pretend the nothing personal pick of the day presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. The Padres at -105 current odds at DraftKings will prevail over the Cubs today. Why do I have the Padres over the Cubs? Because I had the Padres over the Cubs. How could the Padres beat the Cubs, which I said was going to happen if they don't win the 3rd and deciding game? It would be absurd because then I could take the Cubs and then tell you tomorrow, nailed it, got the pick of the day. You'd say to me, David, you missed your wait to see. True. I had to wait to see the Padres would win. I had to wait to see the Guardians would win. So, of course, I'm going to go with the Guardians and Padres today. Come on. You think I'm not paying attention in this steel trap that's disintegrating before your very ears? That's the nothing personal pick of the day. Bunch of moves are still happening with teams. Do you know, this is the time I would I was a little different than some when our team didn't make the playoffs 17 out of 18 times. I would take a little break, but after the season, even though work started the next day and you start preparing for the next season immediately, like there's no break at all. But I'm talking about the break from watching baseball games. A lot of GMs do that, a lot of team presidents. I always loved watching playoffs because I loved wallowing in the misery of having this desire to be a part of something. I always viewed it as, oh, I didn't get invited to that party, but it's the party with all the hottest people that I wanted to be at. That's how I would view the playoffs. You're seeing teams that are going through the process of getting their offseason started. We went through all the different managerial changes, and man, there were a lot of them. Yesterday, we got word that Brian Snitker, who's been managing the Braves, he's been a part of the Braves for like a half century. He is the Braves. Brian Snitker has stepped down as Braves manager. He said, I'm going to need a little time after that last out to decide what I'm going to do. After I got home and decompressed a little bit, I did decide this was the best move. The season ended on Sunday. Today is Thursday. Snitker, are you telling me, Brian, you are great? And I've known you for pretty much ever. You know very well that you can't decompress from a season and from the grind of 162 in 48 hours. You know very well that you want to do the right thing by your organization by giving them enough time to make sure that no good managerial candidates are left on the table. You know that. And you also know that given you won the 2021 World Series, which is super cool, but what's happened since 21, you're aware of the disappointing season that was had, the regression that was had by so many people in the lineup. You know that Alex Anthopoulos is not going anywhere as GM of that team. The writing was squarely on the wall that the Braves were going to make a change. I absolutely love the fact that we are led to believe that Snitker made this decision unilaterally. I love the fact that I can dream that the owner, well, Terry McGurk, the owner could be you, actually. Are you an owner of the Braves? You could be. Go get some Liberty Media stock. I'd like to believe that the chairman and the president of baseball ops went to Brian Snitker and said, we're so loyal to you. We love you so much that you can do as you wish. Just let us know whenever you can. By the way, if you don't resign by October 1st, we're going to move on by October 1st. That's what I assume the conversation went like, and it was about much, much nicer than that because there's a lot of love, a lot of respect. There's jewelry involved, all sorts of good stuff. But this is the right move for Atlanta. Snitker, no doubt, will stay in the Braves organization. He will do an advisory role. He will be able to have a different life than the grind of being a manager, and the Braves get a different voice and a different relationship down in the clubhouse. All of that happens. I should mention to you that the Braves finished 76 and 87. I should remind you that the Braves started 0-7, and we told you that no team has ever started 0-7 and made the playoffs. And it happened again. I should remind you that no team that starts 0-7 ever even finishes 500. I, of course, had to wait to see. I had a bunch of stuff on the Braves because that can't be. The Braves are too good. They'll be able to rebound, and they did. They climbed their way back to over 500 after under 50 games. They were back, and then it just went to crap is what it did. Just this performance up and down the lineup. What happened to Ozuna? He's not going to be back. You know that. What happened to Albies? Come on. Quick last thing about Snitker. With his 811 wins and 6 NL East division titles, his World Series championship in 2021, his 49 years with the Braves organization, starting as a minor league player and ending as the manager of the team. It is an example of loyalty, of performance, dedication, and finally, it's the example of goodness. There isn't a lot of goodness in our game. It is a cynical game led by people who think they're brilliant, who put cynicism in a whole new light. All of that is true. It is a game led by people who want you to believe that we know exactly that what we're doing is right and perfect and that we have someone to blame and we don't want it to be us. The Braves are an organization that you should pay attention to. Business, on field, it is a first-class operation. Not to say we didn't have our arguments about rain delays. Not to say that we didn't have our arguments about game times. We absolutely had disagreements with the Braves organization from time to time during my career. Just because you have a different view or can say, hey, that person acted like a POS, that doesn't mean that you can't have an overall evaluation of the individual or of the organization. Because I refuse to judge people by their worst moments, as I witness many of my worst moments from outside myself. I refuse to judge people by their best moments because all of us have a moment where we will be better than who we are. But a body of work, that is what you're supposed to look back on. Whether you live a full life or your life gets cut short by statistics, whatever the case is, Brian Snitker deserves the sign-off, the send-off. He deserves the attention that he is going to get next year when he's honored. He deserves everything. I could not be more sure of that. Of all the people, more even than Bochy, who left Texas. And Chris Young said, oh, Bochy, you can be a Texas Ranger. Oh, it's okay. Come on. That's it. The Braves are looking for someone else. Now's the time where I have to sit up straight. Here I go. And I'm going to look in the camera. NFL fans, what's your favorite touchdown? Don't turn this off. For me, it's the next one. Because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. The Kansas City Chiefs look to move to 3-2 after an 0-2 start to the season, and Patrick Mahomes and company are 3-5 favorites on the road in Jacksonville Monday night in a matchup with Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SAMSON. Please, that's code SAMSON, SAMSON. You can turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It's David Samson, hour 2 on October 2nd, 2025. It's a Thursday. To my partners at DraftKings, I thank you for your flexibility and how great you have been. I've mentioned it before. And for you, I'm going to redo very quickly one sentence from hour 1 because it's an outrage how fully out of practice in Ron Burgundy I did. So hear me out, listen to me now, and pay attention to me later. Get ready, Coca. The Kansas City Chiefs look to move to 3-2 after an 0-2 start to the season, and Patrick Mahomes and company are 3.5-point favorites on the road in Jacksonville Monday night in a matchup with Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Thank you. I swear to God, the copy that I have said 3-5. So I said, and you're never going to hear this anywhere unless you were listening live to the first hour, which you are if you're watching this live now, and maybe DraftKings Network will not be able to fix it in time, though Jack normally can. I said our 3-5 favorites because there was a dash. Crying out loud. There is a lot of football because week 5. Is this week 5 already that starts tonight? I don't know if week 4 was Packers Cowboys, which means this is week 5, starts with the Thursday night game. Football season, you're going to snap and it's going to be done. That's how quick it goes. Quarterback changes make me smile. Desperation. The Cleveland Browns. We watch Flacco. He's old. He's not terrible, just old and mediocre. We've spent more time on the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation than they deserve. The focus should be on the Guardians. The focus of all of Cleveland. It shouldn't be on a new stadium for the Browns yet. It shouldn't be on who the third string quarterback is. We shouldn't be caring that Dillon Garbiel is going to take over for Joe Flacco, but he is. I promise you that. But I really do have to tell you that something funny happened yesterday. We're going to talk about Flacco being benched and how ridiculous that is. But we have to go through Shedeur Sanders. For those of you who don't remember, Shedeur Sanders, remember, first round pick, didn't get drafted, second round, nothing, third, nothing, fourth, nothing, fifth round, gets drafted by the Browns and becomes this colossal pain in the tuchus. He thinks he should start. He doesn't start. Then he's third on the depth chart or fourth on the depth chart. There's injuries. There's lack of performance. Wouldn't you know it? He thinks he should play, but he doesn't. And then he starts a preseason game, so people think he will, but he won't because preseason doesn't mean squat. And so all of this distraction over a fifth round, third string quarterback, it's absurd. It should not happen. So Joe Flacco gets benched because the Browns seem to think, hey, here's a good opportunity to bring our second string quarterback to move him up. Dillon Garbiel is a rookie. Let him play. Can't be worse. Well, you'll find out. Could be worse, but for now, not worse. But Shedeur, just in case you think that everybody's moving up, no. Shedeur and Joe Flacco are switching. So, sorry, 4869. Dillon Garbiel and Joe Flacco are switching. Joe Flacco was number 1. Now he's number 2. Dillon Garbiel was number 2. Now he's number 1. He's going to start this weekend's game. What does that mean for Shedeur Sanders? He was 3. He's still 3. That means he has not been promoted. Nothing has happened to Shedeur Sanders. Yet, the media needs to go talk to him. No third quarterback gets spoken to. There's no reason for it. But the media has to. Shedeur, tell me, how do you feel about being the third string quarterback? Well, dude, I've been that the whole season. But no, let's get a soundbite. We're going to get him to say something bad. He's going to embarrass himself and his family. So, this is what Shedeur Sanders said when asked whether he was okay being the third string quarterback. Listen up.
Vocally, anything to say about?
Enjoying yourself and having fun.
That's what more. What do you think? That's the show.
Got to imagine what you just heard for those of you listening and not watching on YouTube. Shedeur Sanders answered the questions in silence, not like ignoring. He was moving his mouth like a mime. I used to take mime at camp. Yes, I loved having the white makeup on and all the stuff, and you pretend you're at a wall. And then you pretend you're opening a kitchen cabinet, grabbing a glass, filling the glass with soda, juice, water, and then drinking the glass. Shedeur Sanders was miming, like pantomiming his answers. What? I can't even. Let me explain why I'm worked up. Because it should just be fun, shouldn't it? It should be totally normal and fine. We're used to different quarterbacks for the Browns. You know that. In the last 26 years, the Browns lead the league in different people playing quarterback for them, and it's not particularly close. Dillon Garbiel will be their 41st quarterback in the last 26 years. Next up is the Chicago Bears with 30 and the Commanders with 29. So a new quarterback for the Browns, there's nothing to see here. The Browns at 1-3, not all that exciting to talk about. When you go to Shedeur and ask him a question and he does a viral response, which is smiling and pretending to talk without any noise coming out of his mouth, which makes writers then write, what in the hell was that? Why is he answering that way? Because the answer, if he got any advice from Deion Sanders, his dad, don't you think Deion should say, hey, son, I earned my crazy. I earned by playing two sports, I'm talking two sports really well. I'm talking professionally. I'm talking being a star. I earned the right to be prime time. Shedeur, you're no time. You've gotten no time at all. And I'm not talking about the Irene Ryan song from the play. It's a musical. I'm talking about you haven't taken a snap because you haven't earned it because you're not good enough. So when the media comes up to you and says, how do you feel about being the number 3 quarterback still and not having moved up the chart? Here's the answer. I'm going to keep working hard, and whatever opportunity I'm given, whether it's in practice or during a game, I can only promise you that I'm going to be ready. And I'm going to be there to help Dillon Garbiel be the best quarterback he can be and learn from Joe Flacco on the sidelines and make sure that when my time comes that I'm the most prepared I could be. That should be it. Why is it that there are people whose star outshines their talent? I'd like you to just ponder that for 1 second. The number of people in your life who say, wow, he talks a good game, but really, big hat, no cattle. He certainly fakes it till he makes it enough to make you believe that he may have information that he doesn't have, or he does what's called a side conversation, which is, hey, look over here, the old bait and switch. Look at my right hand. My left hand is right down your skivers. I'm going to take your wallet, but look at my right hand. It's right here, doing some funny stuff. When people do that and they're not being paid like a magician or some sort of thief, when you do that, the reason why people do that is they're super afraid that you're going to actually look where you're supposed to be looking. Shedeur Sanders doesn't want people talking about the fact that he's not good enough to be an NFL second-string quarterback. Shedeur Sanders does not want people in the media writing about the fact that the Cleveland Browns and their decision-makers was their opinion that Shedeur Sanders has done nothing to change his place on the depth chart. No, that can't be the narrative. So when you want the narrative to be different than what you know it's going to be, because that's what it should be, you then create a different narrative. You create a distraction. It's like, who does it fool, though? Do you think that the GM of the Cleveland Browns was looking at that saying, oh, God, I totally made a mistake? And now people will say, well, Rex Ryan went on TV and Rex Ryan said that Shedeur Sanders should just shut up and he's an embarrassment, so that's why he did the pantomime. Stop it. Stop letting people use as an excuse what happens in the media. Can you imagine for 1 second, all the baseball executives who listen to this show, if they say, oh, I'm going to change my lineup, or I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that, because that's what Samson said. Now, they may think about it, and they may think, wow, that's an interesting business thought, or that's an interesting baseball thought. But then they'll take it as their own, and they'll evaluate it and put it into the analytics starbelly sneech machine, and they'll figure out what they're going to do. Shedeur Sanders cannot do something based on what a member of the media does. Well, Rex Ryan was all over me, so therefore I'm going to be a total jack. No. I think that eventually the way this ends, because it's going to end, is that Shedeur Sanders is off the team. He got that guaranteed money, but talk about, I mean, the Browns, more than any other organization, they know what it is to waste money on a quarterback. That's their specialty, for crying out loud. So what do I think is going to happen? I think it is perfectly natural to believe that the Browns will look at Shedeur and just shake their head and say, dude, I can find a third-string quarterback anywhere. Find me the grandson and the great-grandson of Y.A. Tittle. I'll take them. Dillon Garbiel gets to make his debut in London. I hope that he knows to look right. Very important. He'll be playing the Vikings, who are spending their second week overseas. Remember, the Vikings were in someplace last week. I believe the Vikings were in Ireland playing the Steelers last week, losing to Aaron Rodgers. Then they had a schlep to London. Not a big schlep. Look on the map. Ireland, actually, most of Europe is a lot like the Northeast. You can zip around and go anywhere. It's all within a couple hours. It's pretty cool. So they're now in London facing the Browns. Dillon Garbiel will come out. That's good. He's got to go against Brian Flores. Yes, that Brian Flores, the former coach, the one who's suing the NFL, that one who's still coaching in the NFL, which shocks me. That one, the lawsuit that's still pending, that one, the defense that's still good, that one. Meanwhile, Brian Flores outwits, outmatches, and outplays rookie quarterbacks constantly. He's 4-0. He beat Caleb Williams twice last year. He's beaten Bryce Young, Aiden O'Connell. It's good. Who are we going to take there, do you think, when we do our picks for the weekend? Do you think we're going to take the Browns and Dillon Garbiel? Or do we think Shedeur Sanders is going to come in the game as a backup because Flacco's going to get hurt? Can't wait to watch that. Biggest news of the day is coming up, so get ready. This is, every day we get a bit of shocking news. This one, I remember where I was. I was actually at the hospital, and I was reviewing stories, and I was visiting and trying to be a good dad and trying to put show and think about topics. And all of a sudden, I realized this is it. I can't believe it. This story is it's gonna win the day. The Colorado Rockies and their general manager are parting ways. I saw it on my phone. I'm like, oh, interesting. Do you know the Colorado Rockies, the ones who didn't lose 121 games but should have? The Colorado Rockies who stink. You remember them, although the season's over. Well, they announced Wednesday that general manager Bill Schmidt will not return. They gave Bill Schmidt, who's been in the organization forever, he's been the GM since 2021, and they've been bad. That's been the seasons under Bill Schmidt. Finally, Dick Monfort's son Walker convinced Dick Monfort, listen, Dad, and I've been in this position, you gotta move on. So I'm very pleased to announce that the Colorado Rockies and Bill Schmidt have gone a different direction. Now, they let Bill Schmidt they let him leave on his own terms. Wink, wink. They let him leave with a statement. It was a good statement. Thank you to you. Thank you to that. Appreciate you very much. It was a funny statement. Bill Schmidt, they did a whole big release, and it was a love fest. They let Schmidt lead off the statement. After a number of conversations, we decided it's time for me to step aside. I always love starting a statement with that. That's always my favorite type of conversation, when we get together and decide that it's something that I have to do. That's really how it went. Is that what you want us to believe? First statement from the Rockies as they try to be transparent. You think Bill Schmidt sat down next to Walker Montfort and his dad, Dick Montfort? Maybe even Charlie was around. And you think Bill Schmidt said, let's have a talk about this because I think that you guys can do better than me. I think that after all of our losing, that I should step away because that's how much I love this organization more than life itself, more than job. Bill Schmidt said, this is a quote, "It's been an honor to serve in the Rockies family for over 25 years. I'm thankful to the Montfort family," that usually means severance, "and the opportunity, thankful to my family for their constant support." I don't know what family these baseball people have who get constant support from their family. I got a great family. Constant support over an 18-year career? Really? How about, dude, why do you keep getting home at 2 in the morning? Why are you on the road for 150 nights a year? Oh, no, I mean, it's so hard on the family, I can't even tell you. But you got to thank the family for constant support, though I think that's disingenuous because no one can support a baseball person constantly. Can't happen, ever. Now, you can say overwhelmingly positive support. That would be a verb and a usage that I would use in a statement. But constant? All right, let's move on. Better seasons are ahead for the Rockies, Bill Schmidt said. Now, that's not saying much. If I could make a bet right now, and Coca, I will ask you, I'm not looking at anything, but you are in my ear. Is there already a win total for next season on DraftKings in baseball? I'm going to guess it's premature. But listen to me now and hear me later. The Colorado Rockies will not lose 119 games next year. The White Sox lost over 100 games this year and improved tremendously over their record-breaking season ago, 121 losses. This is not a huge thing to say. Better seasons are ahead for the Rockies, Bill Schmidt said. You bet your gazunga there are. Then, of course, there were great quotes from the owner and the chairman, Dick Montfort. Bill has been an integral part of the Rockies family for over 25 years with countless contributions to the organization over that time. We are deeply grateful for his service, his friendship, and his dedication, and wish him and his family, what do you think they wish him? Say it with me on 3. 1, 2, 3. Nothing but the best in the future. Because the Montfort family is going to spend a tremendous amount of time thinking about Bill Schmidt's family and their happiness going forward. I mean, that's going to obsess them. They're not going to be able to build a roster because they're going to be worrying about Bill Schmidt and wishing him well in his future. I don't think you fully realize how bad the Rockies have been. They've lost over 100 games 3 straight years. 3 straight years. Do you know the type of teams that lose for 3 straight years over 100 games? Wait for it. Cubs, Astros, World Series. You're building the dynasty. Now, the Cubs didn't have a dynasty that lasted with Baez and Rizzo. Remember that? You remember that. The Astros did have a dynasty after losing all those games that just ended this year. You remember that? Well, the Rockies have now gone through 3 years losing 100 games. Guess what they're not going to have? A World Series winning team anytime soon. I don't see any Sports Illustrated covers saying future World Series champ 2017, back when they're in the middle of their 100-loss seasons. I just don't see any of that happening. Now, do they have some good players? I mean, they do. They've got 2 players in the top 100. That's pretty good. Well, wait, that's not that good. Hold on 1 second. 100 divided by 30 is 3.3. Do you agree that every team should have 3.3 prospects in the top 100 if it were totally even? Well, the Rockies having 2 must mean that's below average, which means they probably have a bad farm system, which they do. It's ranked 24th. But don't worry, Rockies fans. You've got Chris Bryant. I didn't even mention Chris Bryant as the guy in the 2016 Cubs with Baez and Rizzo because I couldn't think of him because he's so irrelevant. Yet when Chris Bryant signed that big free agent deal with Colorado, Rockies fans were so happy. Now we're talking. Yeah, you're paying him $27 million for the next 3 seasons. Are you happy? Is that really a plan? You glad you have Chris Bryant? Now, shout out to Rockies fans. Man, it turns out you may be better than Cardinal fans. Can I say that? Can I say that? Sure you can, Dave. It's your name on the show. Right, I can say that. My name is David Samson, and the Colorado Rockies fans deserve your applause. They keep showing up to games every day. Now, Coors Field is outstanding. They averaged over 30,000 fans a game. It's unbelievable. It's a really good view, though. It really is. We'll find out what happens here. It's going to be very interesting to see who they hire. There are some rumors in the game that there may be a meddling situation with ownership. Heaven to bid. There may be some rumors in the game. There may be some very hard-line, interesting things and views of ownership. We'll have to wait and see. Because, of course, my view of it is, with only 30 jobs, pretty much I wouldn't care if my owner, well, I would. I'd have some sort of moral issue if my owner or my president were some sort of monster, some sort of pathetic racist monster, of which the Monforts are not. I would not care about the Monforts' political views. I wouldn't care about any of it because I'd want a job. There is a funny thing that someone put on social media yesterday, and I don't remember who it was. Someone said that the Rockies' job is very sought after, very recherché, because big-time baseball executives want to win in Colorado because they want to be the one who does it, like it's Theo and the Red Sox and Cubs. I want to be the one to break the curse. Well, the Rockies are not the Red Sox. The Rockies are not the Cubs. And the key to winning in Colorado, is it possible? That's the question that I ask. It's sort of winning in Colorado to me is the same as attendance in Miami. I'm not saying it can never happen. I'm just saying I can't find a reason, and it's not for lack of trying or lack of looking. A big name, of course, is going to be interested in becoming the GM of the Rockies. Who wouldn't be? You know who's not going to be the manager of the Giants? Good for you, Buster Posey, for coming right out ahead of the Bruce Bochy rumor and saying Bruce Bochy will not be part of the managerial search. Love that. Remember, Bruce Bochy was let go by the Texas Rangers. Mutual. Job waiting for him in the front office if he wants. And then immediately the conspiracy, it's not even a conspiracy theorist, immediately the people put two and two together and said, I know what 4 is equal to. 4 means that Bruce Bochy leaves the Rangers and gets hired back to San Francisco. It will be such a great story with Buster Posey as his boss, not his player. Bochy will be back to the place where he won the rings and had that 2010s dynasty. Buster Posey, to his credit, he just said no. He didn't have to respond to any of the rumors and innuendo and basic ridiculousness that is so pervasive in everyday social media and all of us in the media. But he took the bull by the horns. I don't remember saying anything like that except when I didn't want something to happen that there was a chance the owner wanted to have happen, and then I would go public saying there's no chance this will happen, and then I'd get to say to the owner, but I already said there's no chance this will happen, so how can it happen? I know that sounds familiar to my friend Bobby V, but there are ways that you can announce certain things and then you can sort of will them into existence. But the situation with the Giants is not that. They were not going to go back to Bochy because Eddie Money had it right. You can never go home again, no matter how badly you want to go back. Look for Buster Posey to hire a manager in his vein. That's not even an expression that makes sense, Coca. In his vein? What am I trying to say here? In his image? In his likeness? In his name? Buster Posey is going to hire a manager who he very well does control. Side note, I forgot to cover this with the Yankees. I forgot to cover all of the media people who wanted to make sure that Aaron Boone made the decision to pull Max Fried, and it wasn't anybody else in the front office, that Aaron Boone has autonomy to run the bullpen and to do the matchups that he wants. I forgot to mention that. Way to go, Booney. It's total horse hockey. If you think the Yankees front office is not involved in decisions that are happening on the field, I'm sorry, you're living in this sort of dream world that's manufactured by the manager who wants you to think that he's got that power because he doesn't want to look like he's been spayed and neutered. But in fact, that's what managers are these days. I don't know why that just came into my head. I'm thinking a lot about managers and about general managers. It's that time of year where I go into the feeling of, oh, it's playoffs, I'm watching, but it's also teams who are starting over, and every day there's a new team. It's unbelievable the number of changes that we've seen in the general manager and managerial ranks. What is the number, Coca? Is Brian Snitker, is that now the 9th opening out of 30 teams currently? Staggering. A third of the teams are turning over. Who is the longest serving manager these days? I think it's Eric Spoelstra. I think that counts when you are the coach of the Miami Heat and you've been there forever. Maybe Steve Kerr, and you've got that sort of longevity that you get to say that you're the longest in other sports. Because I can't think of a manager right now who's been there for a super long time. I'll think of it. I just can't right now. The Cardinals, this is for you, St. Louis. You know who you are, because I'm thinking about you right now. The Cardinals introduced Chaim Bloom. Do you remember that name? Now, they had to get that introduction. They couldn't do it today, quite obviously. They had to get it done, and they got it done prior to the sunset, because this is the most important holiday of the Jewish calendar. And it's not that I'm hungry right now, because it's only early in the morning, but I'll get hangry soon, angry, hungry. Chaim Bloom was introduced. You know the name, Chief Baseball Officer, that funny title that was made up by the Boston Red Sox when he took over the Red Sox. You know Chaim Bloom. You know Tampa Connection, Boston, hello. And then you know he got fired by Boston. Yes, you do. Then you know he came into St. Louis, and he was under John Mozeliak, who was pushed aside. No, I plan to retire. I've been there too long. But it was the succession plan that would make Adam McKay happy. It was clean. Super clean. Mozeliak out. Chaim Bloom in. So they met the media. You knew that the chairman, Bill DeWitt, his son, the president, Bill DeWitt, you've got Junior, you've got the third. Believe me, you can keep him straight, though. Billy, you know this. You're beginning to look more and more like your dad. Who of us isn't? It's going to happen. Oh, my Lord, it's going to happen. Just look at the hands. Look at the hands. Look at the hands. The Cardinals had a problem during the introduction because they had to face the elephant in the room. It was far bigger than just a bird. They had to figure out how to answer questions about the quality of their team, how to answer questions about the lack of attendance, about the lack of revenue, about the lack of payroll growth, about the lack of winning. Things that Cardinals fans are not used to hearing, things that Cardinals brass is not used to saying. So Bill DeWitt sits there and wants to make sure that their message gets across to you. What do you think their message would be? First message, we are not in any way disagreeing with your evaluation of our team. We've got to be better. We're not making any excuses. We've got to stop mediocrity. That's the main message. Then you have to say that we hear you, fans. We understand you're frustrated. We get it. That's a good message, too, the DeWitts gave. But then, Bill DeWitt III had to give a quote. It was in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And he said, fans have made their point. We know that a winning team on the field is the most important thing relative to attendance. Uh-oh. Bill, it's the commissioner. It's Rob. How you doing, bud? Hey, listen, that whole winning attendance thing, we don't talk about that. We don't mention that. You can talk to that with your salespeople, but don't let them fall into that trap. They got to sell when they win, sell when you lose. We need revenue. You got to have revenue. Don't ever publicly say that there's a correlation between winning and attendance, because then we're going to have to go through the possibility of the correlation between a winning team and payroll. And we know we don't want to do that. Then we're going to have to go into detail about your lack of TV revenue and all the things that have gone wrong with your organization. And that's the reason why you have to keep putting payroll down, because it's a lagging indicator. When the revenue dries up, you carry that losses for that year, but then you adjust the payroll when your pro forma projections for revenue the next year don't include a rebound. And while you can acknowledge that your team hasn't made the postseason 60% of the time over the last decade, you can acknowledge that. You can acknowledge the reality that, hey, we had an unbelievable streak of World Series titles. We made it past losing Albert Pujols to the Anaheim Angels of Anaheim, and we've always been there. We've made it past McGuire and steroids. We've always been there. What happened now? Well, what happened now is it's a different generation of people. What happened now is people in St. Louis, there's a lot more to do in St. Louis than there used to be. What happened now is 8,000 people from 2024 to 2025 decided every single night that I will make a different choice. That's 8,000 people making a choice they hadn't made in a decade, more than a decade, 2 decades, multiple decades. When your attendance drops by 8,000 people, just know that you can't give the standard ordinary drivel. You can't just give lip service to that. You have to say what Bill DeWitt said, and it's painful, and it gets you in trouble. Because now, what are your salespeople going to do? When your salespeople are calling up potential customers, potential season ticket holders, potential group ticket holders, potential individual ticket holders, and they say to you, I don't want to buy yet because I want to see whether your team wins. That's page 1 of our sales sheet. When someone says we don't want to come to a game until we know they're going to win, we then say, hold on. Give me the top 5 reasons that you go to games. Camaraderie, time with family, time with coworkers, being part of a community, feeling pride. Wait, where's winning the game in that? Tell me every game you went to last year. 10 games. What was the Cardinals' record? Oh, I can't remember whether we won or lost. We may have lost a bunch, won a bunch. Exactly. It doesn't matter whether the team wins or loses. Go to a game with your child. After the game, say, hey, do you know the score? Do you know who won? No. They know they had time with their daddy. And believe me, time with your daddy, it can go away like that. If you have an opportunity to do it, you do it. Win, lose, who cares? So you don't want to have it out there. Hey, our attendance is going to keep being the crapper until we find a way to win. What does that mean? Do you have to win a World Series? Do you have to win 90 games? Do you just want an above 500 record at home and then reckless disregard for your road record because, no, we're winning at home. That's fun. Or is it overall team record where you could have a great road record, never win at home, still you're going to bring those 8,000 people back? I don't have a good answer for you, which is why we don't say it. But they did, and now they're absolutely going to have to pay the price for that. Speaking of paying the price, how many of you play anything from EA Sports? Do you know that company? Like, do you know Madden? Do you know the coach Madden, the broadcaster Madden? Or do you only know the game Madden? That is how we do our demographic study. We don't pay people. We don't have the budget. We ask a very simple question. Who's John Madden? And then we get to fit the person into the demographics. A, don't know who he is, never heard of him. B, yeah, wasn't that the Super Bowl winning coach for the Oakland Raiders? That's a good one, my kind of person. C, wasn't he the broadcaster with Pat Summerall? Yeah, a few others. He was unbelievable. D, isn't he the guy who was scared of flying? Well, that's a little too detailed. E, is he, yeah, that football video game? EA Sports announced a deal the other day. I think you should all sit down for this. Now, if you're driving, please drive carefully because what you're about to hear is staggering. Electronic Arts, the guys who make the video games, you know who they are. They're being bought for $55 billion. That's right. EA Sports used to be a publicly traded company. They're now going to be private because it's private people who bought EA Sports, which means they are paying every single shareholder. See you later. You're getting your shares cashed in. Now, the shares are trading way higher than they were, and people are super excited. But did I tell you who's buying them? Wait for it. PIF. Do you know what that is? Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. Jared Kushner, remember him? President's son-in-law, who's no longer in the administration because it's time to cash out because that is what matters. Jared Kushner started a fund, an investment firm. It's a private equity firm. It's called Silver Lake. Jared Kushner, where did he get his funding from? The Middle East. Conflict of interest? You bet. But Jared Kushner got together with the Saudis. I bet when they were doing diplomacy and working for our government, it never came up because it was never a thought. Why would we ever do business together? Well, you don't know the Kushners. I assure you. Now, I'm not talking about Josh Kushner at all. Josh Kushner, I would go into business with today. Today. Jared Kushner, not even tomorrow. But Jared Kushner told you and told us that he is so excited to be part of this purchase of Electronic Arts because he and his kids play the video game. I couldn't even believe it when I saw it. I literally could not believe that. $55 billion because we like exercising our thumbs. How they viewed EA Sports as worth a 25% premium over what it was being traded for. Now, they've got a lot of cool stuff. You know that. It's not just Madden. I've told you, if you play, there's a college football game, there's an NHL game, there's FC, there's Marvel games, Star Wars games. There's a bunch of games. I get it. People like playing video games. I do. Why do you think that Saudi Arabia, Middle East money is getting involved in something that is so amazingly American and awesome that people are playing these Madden video games? Why would they do it? Why would they pay a premium to be associated with Electronic Arts? Why would they pay an amount of money where the current CEO of EA, a publicly traded company until this deal passes over the next 12 months, why the CEO would say, oh, this is so good. Great plan, great concept. We're super lucky to have the Saudis and Jared Kushner as our partner. Why? Oh, they're going to leave me alone. I'm going to get to operate it however I want it. Good luck. The reason why you're going to get to do that is because you have found an endless spigot. Money that will never dry up. You'll be able to expand. You'll be able to do all the things you've dreamt of, but then you're going to have to do it right. Because if not, the Saudis will say, oh, all right, that was good washing. Let's go clean something else. The valuations that are being put on assets by the Middle East money because there is so much of it. Don't tell me that Saudi Arabia's fund, PIF, has an investment committee. Don't tell me they've got someone who looks at different investments and says, I don't like that. I don't believe in the underlying fundamentals. I believe that their growth rate has been fully over-exaggerated. I don't see how they can go into the foreign market or capture the market of people over 22. Whatever that you do when you're analyzing a company. Oh, we hired an investment bank and we really did the stress test on the financials and we came up with $55 billion for Electronic Arts. Huh, I wonder why the market never did. It's something. It really is something. It's our show. Business is business. When you're trying to wash, you wash. When you're trying to get credibility, you can try to buy it all you want. You can try to buy your way into things where you look like you're supposed to belong. But at the end of the day, you are who you are. And you're either comfortable with it or you're not. You either realize that you are representing a country that would rather kill journalists and behead women and just rape, pillage women. You're either part of that or not. You want to say, oh, I'm Jewish. I don't mind the anti-Semitism because there's a lot of money coming my way. Fine. Be that way. Fine. Go to services. Atone for the sins. Start making new sins. I'm in. I'm not going to begrudge people for making the decisions they want to make. Live and let live. I am just making sure that you, when you are deciding whether you play EA Sports, you're going to play if you play. If you don't play, you're likely not going to start now, and it won't have anything to do with who owns it. You're just going to say to yourself, you know what? They don't need my $29.99 or $89.99 or $142.69. But let's not pretend that this is some brilliant, analytically driven business deal. It's just not close to that. Now, business deals do happen. I still believe in business deals. I believe in private equity. I believe there are really smart people working for venture capital firms, private equity firms who actually look at deals. They evaluate companies. They're able to get right there in the weeds and project what they can do differently. It's not unlike a new general manager or a new president or a new employee when you say to the boss who's hiring you and interviewing you, hey, I know how it's been done, but I have ideas that can make what you have been doing better, more efficient, more profitable. In. Absolutely in. Tony Petitti is the commissioner of the Big Ten. There are 69 teams in the Big Ten. Tony Petitti announced yesterday that the division will now be called, the new conference title is Big 69. That'd be such a great announcement, wouldn't it? I mean, that'd be so nice if all the conferences actually did change. Do you remember a player, Coca? Paul Silas. Oh my God. How is that even possible? Go look up Paul Silas. You may only know him as the coach. Paul Silas changed his uniform number every year according to his age. I think whenever I do this and it's not in front of me, there's no note. It's just from what has become a garbled, COVID-infested, I don't have it currently, just age-infested brain. Have you heard of Paul Silas, Coca? No, I think Coca left. Coca left the building. I need you, Coca. This is when I need you, like right now. Are you there? Can't hear you. I can't see you. Help me. Anyway, I would like it if the conferences would just change their name according to the number of teams. But that's not why the Big Ten's in the news today. Tony Petitti, who I worked with at baseball, left baseball to become the commissioner of the Big Ten. And he has done a fantastic job. Well, there was a bit of announcement and a bit of a rumor. ESPN has sources. Well, of course they do. That the Big Ten is in late-stage discussions about a private equity deal that would infuse, wait for it, $2 billion into the conference. $2 billion. Now, why has the deal not been completed? Because there's certain teams in the Big Ten. Yes, I'm looking at you, Michigan. Yes, I'm looking at you, Ohio State. Certain teams in the Big Ten who are saying, hold on a second. We can't make this an equal distribution of this money that's coming in from these private equity people. We want a bigger share. And the reason we want a bigger share is that we do more for this conference. We add more to the bottom line, which is why you've got a PE firm willing to put $2 billion in. So give us our fair share. All of that's happening, which is why no deal's been announced. But why is this so significant? It's so significant is that what is being discussed with this private deal is that it would include an extension on what's called the league's grant of rights. I want to explain what that is. When you're part of a conference, you say to that conference, I want to be in the Big Ten, and I'm so happy to be in the Big Ten that I'm going to promise you that I will stay in the Big Ten, that the rights to my football program, my basketball program, those rights I will grant into the conference for you to bundle and sell to maximize the amount of money that we can get that then gets redistributed to all of the people in the conference. The grant of rights is what all fights are made of. Because when you grant your rights, you are giving up your ability to monetize your individual school, your individual program, and you are granting it to someone else to monetize. And that all works great until you say to yourself, the conference stinks. They should be helping me way more than they are, because if I were able to monetize my rights, Michigan would say to itself, I would get $200 million a year. I'm making up a number. Well, the Big Ten does a media deal. The Big Ten does sponsorship deals. And Michigan gets 150 a year, 150 million. Forget the real numbers. The point is the point here. When Michigan says to itself, wait a minute, you only give me 150, but if I did it myself, I'd get 200. I want that extra 50. But then what the conference says is the reason why you granted us your rights is you would not have been able to play against yourself. What, are you going to schedule yourself against only other independent conferences, independent teams? You got to play people. Otherwise, you wouldn't get 200 and you wouldn't even get 150. You'd be simply Billy Idol dancing with yourself. That's the back and forth argument that's happening with these clubs. The grant of rights that will be glossed over today when you read about this story, that's the whole story. Because without that grant of rights, Tony Petitti can't go and do anything for anyone in the conference. He's got to have them all on board. So all the negotiating is between the conference and its teams. It's way more important than the negotiation that's going on with the private equity firm. That you can get done in 2 weeks, back and forth drafts. Here's what you get for your $2 billion. You get 3 hats, 2 visits, 1 sideline pass, and you will have the ability to make your money back over a period of this time by these revenue streams. I can negotiate that quick, no problem. It's the other side where Tony Petitti looks back at Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, says, okay, here's what we're doing with this $2 billion. Here's what we're doing with the infusion of money. Here's what we're doing with the media rights deal. Here's what we're doing with the extension of the grant of rights. And here's why we're doing it. Are you in or are you out? It is going to be a very interesting decision right now, because I believe that selling pieces of your conference to PE firms, and you've heard me talk about it before, I believe it's the exact right way to go. I don't fully understand how a PE firm would look at the conference and be able to massage the pro formas and the numbers and the projections enough to say this is an investment that works for us. Unless, of course, part of your firm is you want a little cachet, you want a little sexy, and you make sure you get your returns from businesses that make your investors' eyes glaze over. Oh, we own a ladder company, big whoop. Ooh, that's a very nice return. Wait, can that return make up for the fact that we don't get the bigger return, but we get to get sideline passes to watch Michigan? Think about that. When you are looking at your overall portfolio and you are deciding how you make your portfolio, the bigger these PE firms get, the bigger opportunity there is for them to make decisions that may not be purely financially sound. They have to be excusable, they have to be provable, but at the end of the day, do they have to be right? Way less so than all of the myriad decisions that are made by these firms with much smaller, much less public companies. And I mean public in terms of what everybody sees. So this is going to be the future. I said it would be the future, and it's not stopping. The Big Ten will end up doing a deal with a private equity firm. They will end up getting this infusion from private equity. And the reason is that Tony Petitti has the opportunity to look right into the athletic director's eyes and with a straight face just say, hey, be with me because it's just business. We'll be back tomorrow. This is nothing personal.